New York City, 33rd floor, 10:07 a.m., the kind of boardroom where the air smells like old money and polished ambition. 12 people were seated around a table that looked more like a runway than a workspace. Crystal water glasses, a tray of imported, pastries no one touched, and a giant backlit screen flashing numbers that only billionaires truly understand. At the head of the table sat Thomas Whitaker, the 37-year-old executive prodigy of Crest Fall Capital. They called him the closer, not because he was slick, but because once he walked into a deal, he finished it. Today was supposed to be just another win, a merger between Crestfall and Daratech Industries, worth over $100 million. It had taken 6 months of legal acrobatics, 12 sleepless nights, and one very public betrayal to get here. Now, it all came down to a single signature. Thomas exhaled slowly. His hand hovered over the page. The room waited. Across the room, almost out of sight, stood Imani Taylor. She wasn't wearing heels or holding a briefcase. She didn't carry a tablet or speak in investment lingo. She held a silver tray. To them, she was just the help, a waitress, invisible, but Imani was watching, listening, calculating, not because she was nosy, but because numbers were her first language. Long before she was sliding trays through boardrooms, Imani was a scholarship student at MIT. Mathematics, theoretical modeling, market algorithms, she lived for it. She was meant to build things like this deal, but life, as it tends to do, had other plans. Her mother's illness, no insurance, a revoked scholarship. And suddenly, Imani went from lecture halls to linen napkins and banquet rooms. Yet even with her dreams stalled, her mind never stopped solving. Thomas was moments away from signing. The entire boardroom leaned forward, ready to congratulate, toast, and gloat. That's when Imani stepped forward, slowly, quietly, like a ghost emerging from the walls. She leaned close to Thomas and whispered, "That's the wrong formula." A heartbeat passed. Thomas froze. "What did you say?" he asked, barely turning his head. She swallowed. The room began to buzz with confusion and faint annoyance. "On page 42, she said softly. "Your projected earnings formula. It's misapplied. The derivative function doesn't account for variable C's time decay. It inflates the Q3 margins by nearly 2.3%. Silence. You could hear the flick of a pen cap across the room. Someone chuckled. "She's a waitress, Thomas." But Thomas wasn't laughing. His fingers turned the page. Page 42, the formula. The very one he'd overseen dozens of times. Checked by legal, reviewed by accounting. Yet somehow, the variable was wrong. And the worst part? It shouldn't have been that easy to miss. She was right, dead right. Imani hesitated, then pulled a folded napkin from her apron. Written in pen, not pencil, were the adjusted variables. Annotated, cross-checked, solved. "This is what it should be," she said. The napkin passed down the table like a holy artifact. The CFO squinted. The legal team paled, and then came the moment no one could prepare for. Thomas slowly set his pen down. He leaned back in his chair, and in the quietest voice he'd used all morning, he said, "She just saved us $40 million in projected losses." After the room cleared, after the lawyers vanished to make revisions, after the egos recovered, Thomas approached Imani. "Who are you?" he asked. She looked him in the eye, calm as water. "Imani Taylor. I studied mathematical modeling and systems theory. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I was just—" "No," he interrupted. "You were just brilliant." He tried to offer her money. She declined. "I didn't do it for that. I did it because it was wrong. And I couldn't let you fail for it." And she meant it. She didn't want applause or compensation. She wanted truth to win, even if no one noticed her afterward. But someone did. 2 weeks later, Imani received a letter. Not from a lawyer, not from a firm, from Thomas. It was short. Your scholarship has been reinstated. Your mother's treatment is now fully covered, and if you'll accept, I'd like to offer you a position here at Crestfall Capital, not as a waitress, as our new senior analyst. Attached was a check, not for charity, for partnership. Imani accepted, but only after walking into that boardroom herself, this time wearing a navy blue blazer, a tablet in her hand, and fire in her eyes. The napkin, framed, hanging behind her desk, a symbol of the moment the world finally saw her. In a room full of power, the most valuable person was the one no one saw coming. Sometimes the people society overlooks hold the very wisdom to save it. And the loudest truths don't always need to be shouted. Sometimes a whisper is enough to change everything.